D, the team owner. He and I had a lot of conversations before the season started about the buildup of the team, and a lot of people had questions whether or not we had the right pieces. But I believed in our guys because I think over anything their work ethic and their character was really high, and I knew that whether I knew them personally or just from competing against them in the past. So happy for our guys, man. It's always great to win it all.
That's for sure. One thing you said there that I want to focus on a little bit, and I think this is an underestimated thing that you obviously took into consideration when you were forming the team, and that's character. Like, everyone's looking for talent, and while that is important, you as a coach, I would imagine, getting coachable guys that have high character that can actually try to execute what you're trying to implement is probably huge.
No, it's important. The best example would probably be the San Antonio Spurs. I mean, everyone knows how successful that they've been for how many years now? 20 years? With Popovich being there. And character is a big part. Like you said, it's easy nowadays, whether you're talking about basketball here in the Philippines or anywhere. There's a lot of great basketball players who are very talented. But what separates those guys from the winners? And it's, that's where you talk about the character. That's where you talk about the work ethic, because those guys have that talent, but then take advantage every day of trying to get better and trying to do what's best for the team to win. And, I think it's such an important component to a team being successful.
I agree 100%. You talk about the Spurs and just, they have had a few cornerstone guys, but other than that, it's been like a revolving door of guys, different players, but yet they still get the same results. Yeah. And you talk about Popovich being a great coach, and he's obviously a very good coach and a great communicator and basketball mind, but if you don't have the players that are going to be receptive, be open-minded and want to do what he does, then you can be the greatest coach in the world, but if your players aren't willing to try to execute maybe something they don't want to do, but for the better of the team, then it's going to be a huge challenge.
For sure.
When you were forming the team, how did that go about? Like, was it you and Charlie had a collaboration, or was it mostly you and maybe Danny helping out, your consultant?
Danny Siegel, our consultant, was a big part of the whole process. We sat down together with Charlie and just, first of all, tried to see who was available. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because one of the first guys that we reached out to was, actually there are two guys. It was Josh Urbestando and Don Hontiveros. Okay. I've known both of them personally for a long time. Was never teammates with Josh, but him and I used to always go at it during our time in the PBA. And Don and I competed against each other, played in the finals against each other a few times, and of course we're teammates in the national team. So those two guys were really important in the buildup of our team. One, just from a leadership standpoint, I really respected Josh in terms of his approach and his, I know his nickname is the Fireball, but I mean he does bring a fire to not just the games but practice, and he really raised the level of play at practice, and again constantly leading and communicating with guys. And of course, you look at someone like Don, one of the greatest shooters to ever play in our league in the PBA, one of the classiest guys that you'll ever meet as a professional. And just again, I thought his championship experience and his leadership was going to be big for our team as we start to fill the other pieces.
That's so interesting that those were the first type of guys or two guys you looked at, and just having that in place, like you said, every day. Because I would imagine, and looking at the roster, a lot of the guys you're bringing in are going to be younger guys, maybe inexperienced guys. So having that experience, I'm sure, had to be huge assets. And on top of that, and something I wanted to talk about was, it wasn't all rainbows and unicorns. You started off.
Not at all.
There was a little adversity pretty early.
Yeah. A lot.
So you being a first-time head coach, going through that, like as a player, I remember being like when you lose maybe 2 or 3 in a row, like I felt like my life was terrible. My life was the worst. But as a head coach, that's got to be like 10 times worse.
Yeah, it's worse. Again, going into a season when you're a first-time head coach, you have a lot of questions. You have, am I cut out for this? Is this going to work? But at the same time, you have you have your vision of how you hope things will work out. And again, we actually had a few conversations about this before, and again, sitting down with Charlie and sitting down with DS about the season. We were confident, we were excited, but at the same time, there were still a lot of what ifs. And again, I was happy with the guys we brought in.
Thanks for watching. You can subscribe to my channel by clicking on my face right here. Don't forget to check out the important links in the description below, and for more Staying Major, click on the video over there. We'll see you next time.